संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयो श्रुत्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः। नमः श्री यतिराजाय विवेकानन्दसूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचानूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. So let us continue our discussion on the Bhagavad Gita. So he was Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna what is really the real crux of yoga. Yoga is karma kushalata. Dexterity in work is yoga. And then, says, what is the, if you do that way, what is the ultimate goal? What can you achieve? How it can happen? Karmajam buddhi uktahi phalam tyaktva manishinaha janma bandha nirmukta padam gacchantanamayam. So, this is ultimately, you can go beyond this. This is freedom of the highest nature. उसके पर कुछ भी नहीं है, ऐसा भी आपकी आज़ादी मिल सकती है. What is that? See, all that these phalas, etc., the fruits, how do they happen? They happen from karma. Karmajam phalam tyaktva. A person who is buddhi yukta, who is established in that unperturbed evenness of mind, that's what's called the buddhi yukta. One who is linked to that kind of a buddhi, not that ordinary intellect. It's not that which only thinks about the vishayas. The true buddhi, which is unperturbed evenness of mind. There itself he has said. See, different definitions of yoga also yoga. Samatvam yoga uchyate. The evenness that he talks about. So, naturally, the samatva is not to be understood as mere inaction. मैं कुछ नहीं करता हूँ, मेरा अच्छा भी नहीं है, बुरा भी नहीं है. No. Sukrute dushkrute. Whatever the opposites, only when you participate, you will be exposed to opposites. अब जब कुछ करते हैं, अब तो अच्छा बुरा है, उसका फल होगा ही होगा. It may be to your liking or to your dislike. So non-participation. So again he is saying, karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma te sangostu akarmani. Don't become attached to inaction. That is also not the vision, because Arjuna was also saying, I will throw all my arms, bow, arrow, etc. I will become a mendicant. I will live on alms. मैं चुप बैठ जाऊंगा. ये क्या सब जरूरत है? No, you have to participate, because if it is, that's why unless one is really in that kind of a state of mind, that was somewhere else it will come in Gita itself. Yastu atmartireva syat atmaptitascha manavah atmaneva santushtah tasya karyam na vidyate. For such a person, there is no action is demanded of him. उनका कोई कर्तव्य कुछ नहीं है. Why? Is atmartireva syat. Is only engaged in the Atman, only linked to it. Atmaneva santushtah. His only delight is the Atman. He wants nothing else. He is established in the self. That is his ananda. That is his everything. For such a person, tasya karyam na vidyate. और कुछ काम नहीं है, कुछ कर्तव्य नहीं है. But for everybody else, wherever you are, that is why Swamiji was so emphatic. Why did he start all this? Hospital, school, this, that, everything. He was opposed by his own brother disciples. Guru Bhais भी रूखे दड़े थे, उसमें खड़े हुए थे. नहीं, आप कहाँ से ले आए? सब पश्चिम देश से ले आए. You have brought all this from Western society, the idea of work, etc. Our Guru said only God realization the goal of life. Why are you changing all that? But Swamiji, no, he did not think for those few. वो जानते थे जिन लोग ठाकुर के साथ स्वयं समय बिताए, those who lived with them, he knew that Thakur has wiped out all their karmas, all their samskaras, everything, and really uplifted them. उनके लिए सिर्फ भगवान लाभ, भगवान के बारे में सोचना वही साधन और कुछ नहीं है. But for others, he knew, he thought for the next 1500 years. He said, so, आपकी तरह, मेरी तरह, when such people come, suddenly you cannot simply closing the eyes and sitting. That is not the thing, no? It also comes later on. You're always indriyarthan vimudhatma mityacharasya uchyate. Yastu karmendriyani samyamya yaste manasasmara. आपके हाथ पास सब घुटा लिया, लेकिन मन ही मन सारे दुनिया घूमता रहता है, doing everything in the mind. So indriyartha vimudhatma mityachar, in strongest language the Gita condemns such people. So Sri Krishna was very clear here. Avoiding work is not the solution. Can you, in and through that, can you be a yogi? That's why Swamiji also put in the our manifesto or our objectives. This moment my monks will dive deep into meditation, and the next moment will go and sell the produce in the market. So why all that? Because you see, it's very easy to avoid. मैं कुछ नहीं करूंगा, कर्म में कुछ आ जाएगा, आसक्ति आ जाएगी, then I'll be attached, this will all have karma phala, this, that. Can anyone be quiet? नहीं कश्चित् क्षणमपि जातु तिष्ठति कर्म कृत कार्यते ह्यवशः कर्म सर्वं प्रकृत चेर्गुणैः. All that, even great people try to say. प्रकृतिं यान्ति भूतानि निग्रह किङ्करस्य. So even sadrisham cheshite svasya prakriter jnanamanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kinkarishit. Sadrisham che jitne bhi aap prayas karo. You may be you call yourself a person of great wisdom or jnana. No, it will not work. You have to participate. You have to be ground in and through the fire of work. लेकिन उसके अंदर आप ऐसे रह सकते हैं, उभे सुकृत दुष्कृत, जहां ही है, यहाँ ही सब त्याग देगा. शुभा न शुभा, सुकृत and दुष्कृत, जाय लाभा लाभो, जया जयो, everything. Tasmat yoga yujya. So strive for that yoga, Arjuna. That is important. That is what is called yoga karmasa kaushalam. When that happens, what happens? When karmajam bhakti iktahi phalam tyaktva manishinaha, karmaja, the phala karmaja, the fruits born out of action, if they are given up by the manishna, by the wise men, what do they get? Janma bandha vinirmukta padam gacchantya namayam. They get that kind of freedom, and they free themselves from the entanglement in the cycle of births and deaths, and then attain to the state of freedom from all sorrow. Because ultimately, everyone wants to be free from sorrow. Everyone wants to be peaceful. Everyone's attaining. How that is possible? As long as you have this body, you have to experience sukha and dukkha, pain, pleasure and pain, sorrow and happiness. These opposites will be constantly be there, because whenever there is a body, there is a mind. This body-mind complex leads to work. When there is work, it produces results. It is Shubha or Ashubha, Sukrita, Dushkrita, Labha or Alabha, Jaya or Ajaya, Sukha or Dukkha. These alternatives keep happening. So as long as these alternatives keep happening, it is very difficult for anyone to be free from all that. प्रयास करेंगे सबसे दूर रहने के लिए, to be free from all that, not to be affected, but very difficult. When people who are very calm otherwise, suddenly they burst, because samskaras, whatever we have accumulated over births, over years, in this life, previous life, kitni janam se, malum nahi hai. So, but if you are able to, then what is the way? Whatever happens, say, sab kuch Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. He says, in the Gita itself, it's coming then. Everything. You offer everything. Yat karoshi, yadashnashi, yaddosi, dadasi, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpana. Everything. You keep on offering, offering, offering. All acts. One thing is, here he is talking about offering the fruits. Karmajam. Buddhiyuktahi phalam tyaktva manishni. Here is talking about offering the fruits of actions. लेकिन करते समय आपका कर्तव्य बोध रह सकता है. You may have that feeling, I am the karta, I am the doer. But then, after doing, you go and surrender. My Lord, this is the phala. Whatever phala of this is yours. Etat karma Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamasti. Etat karma phala Sri Krishna Arpanamasti. But he is going one step further there when he says Yad karoshi, yadashrashi, yaddosi, dadasi. That is the spirit of the Ramakrishna order also. The very karma, we don't look at phala. Whatever might be a phala, we don't care. The very karma we offer to you. There also he says, your action, your tyaga, your tapasya, your dana, everything, whatever you eat, whatever you breathe, whatever you do, everything, tat krushva madarpanam, you offer everything unto me. Then there's no question of phala itself. We are not going to look at phala. Whatever we do. But then what happens normally, every action when we initiate, there is an idea of phala. So you might say that I'm not going to look at the phala. Supposing, you're coming into this class, then you want to listen, you want to understand Gita, you want to meet the Swami, or you want to sit in the auditorium, whatever it is. So, when any action, it starts with some kind of a motive or action, naturally. So, in stages only we can go to that level where you simply, in Bengali is a very famous quotation or saying, Jhode reto pata. Like the जूटा पत्ता जो है ना वो हवा में उड़ता जा रहा है. It has no control. It doesn't say I'll be here, I'll be there. Wherever the wind blows, it is blown away. That kind of a totally an agentless condition for such a person, that is only for the highest Paramahamsas only it is possible. कहाँ खाना कोई खिलाएंगे खाएंगे, नहीं खिलाएंगे भूखा रहेंगे. सोना तो सोना, नहीं तो नहीं सोना. कपड़ा पहनना तो पहनना, नहीं तो नहीं पहना. So there is no sense of agentship regarding any action, no participation at all. Then there is no question of phala. Once you come to the stage where the complete naishkarmya, total actionless state when you reach, there's no question of phala. But till then, all our actions have some phala, some goal, some motive to start with. Now, supposing say that whatever is happening, I offer everything unto you, the Lord. I'm not taking any credit, nor am I taking any blame. If you remember and do that, what will happen? Then you will get rid of this Janma Bandha Vinirmukta, the bondage of birth and death. Because, you see, when you have these phala, whatever you exhaust here. Whatever remains goes to your account. You have to come back again in the next birth, again participate. It goes on endlessly. What is it that makes you bound? What is the bondage? This bondage of birth and death. Constantly. No end to that. This birth, everything exhausted, again come back. So somewhere if you want to put a stop, then you have to put a stoppage to the generation of these phalas. So whatever action you might do, you are supposed to, you are heading a department, you are doing something, you are a doctor, and you treat a patient, you cannot say, patient rah jaye, mar jaye, mera kuch nahi hai. That is not the idea. You will do with the idea that, yes, I'll put the best medicine, best treatment, best attention, everything. And then the rest is the Lord's. अच्छा करे तो भगवान करे. उसका आयु नहीं तो चले जाए, बट फ्रॉम माई साइड आई पुट द बेस्ट एफर्ट. बट यू नॉट, देखो कितना बीमारी था, कैसा ठीक कर दिया मैंने, देखा so many patients I have cured, how many operations I have done in my life. That is bondage. Then you are bound. So but whatever we do, whatever is the kartavya, whatever is the duty that is enjoined upon us, स्वधर्म से जो आपका मिला करने का, if you keep on doing it and constantly every time, that's why even when you do japa, you are supposed to surrender the japa to your ishta. आप जप भी समर्पण करना है, भगवान के नाम लेते हैं वही आपके समर्पण करना है, बाकी चीज़ क्या बोलना है क्या? There is no need even to discuss about other things. Where you are taking the Lord's name, even that you are surrendering to Him. What to speak of other things? So obviously, this is the idea. If you keep doing like that, and then you will completely get rid of this bondage, terrible bondage of punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam. Yes, samsare bhautustare kripayavare pahimara. So again and again coming back into this world. That will, see, the point is, here of course is not exactly discussing that idea, but then unless there is that's why it will come in the next sloka, is vairagya, virakti. Unless it is not there, we are happy with our goods, with our money, with our house, with our car, with our balances, with our looks, with our age, with our this, with our... So where is the question of we are crossing the bondage of janana and marana? When you do with this buddhi yukta karma, then all the fruits you can offer. But along with that, unless then there is that vairagya, which will come slowly. The next sloka is talking about, it's not possible to, unless you develop a distaste for the world. बहुत हो चुका है, बहुत हो चुका है, और नहीं, कितना साल से कर रहा हूँ. I ask people, what do we do year after year? 50 साल, 60 साल, 70 साल, सेम चावल डावल सब्जी, कितना quintals of rice and quintals of dal and quintals of other things you have consumed. What is it that we have achieved? Net result क्या है? So unless there is that kind of an awareness, it is not going to happen. That is why in the next sloka he says, Idahi moha kalilam buddhir vyatatirishati tadagantasi nirvedam shrotavyacha. See, when you are free from this moha that is born of attachment, buddhihi vyatatirishati. When with the understanding, when you cross this moha, again, moha is related to our action, the fruits out of action, the way we function. What is where from we get this moha? Because of all the senses, sense objects, whatever we gather, whatever actions we perform, all lead to likes and dislikes. So we are caught in that. Oh, itna acha lugta, kitna acha kiya, kitna nahi kiya, bura kiya. All the good, bad, etc. Thousand things which we attribute, which we discuss, which we participate. All that is completely only moha. So unless you are free from that, unless you get rid of that using your buddhi, then then otherwise it is not possible. Otherwise it's not possible to go to that janma bandha nirmukta state, going beyond the sorrows of birth and death. It is not possible. That's why he says, then if a person is overcome the delusion, if you can overcome your yadate mohakalinam buddhi vetitarashyati, if you can do, then you'll then only it is possible. Tadagandasi nirvedam shrotavyasacha sutasacha. Whatever you have heard, and whatever you are going to hear, what you will be free from both. Whatever you have already heard means all the past experience. पहले कितना कितना हुआ. Whatever is to be heard, भविष्य में कितना सुनेंगे. The innumerable experiences they are going to have. So you'll be free from both. Because now in this moment, I have some detachment. But then again the next moment, I get attached, I get involved. That leads to again karma phala, that leads to more bondage, that leads to again birth and death. So not only the past, and then in the future also. Huh? Then that's why very beautifully somewhere else he says, Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetas. How it is possible? How can you do this? With adhyatma chetas, with a spiritual bent of mind, sarvani karmani mai sanyasya. Offer everything, renounce everything unto me. Huh? Sarvani karmani mai sanyasya nirashi nirmamo bhutva. Nirashi nirmamo. What is nirashi? What is his asha? Sutasya, Shrotavya, what you are going to hear, Asha, future. See, two things only constantly disturb us. Asha and Moha. Nirmama. Mamatva kaise? When do you get this mamakar? It's because of the Moha, attachment to the past. Whatever we have done, whatever has happened, that creates this Moha, delusion, attachment, mamakar, ahankar, mama, mera. And then Asha, the future, the hope again that I will do, I will achieve this, I will become this. And these are the two things. So Nirashi Nirmamo Bhutva. He says, give up the Asha for the future, nor be bound by the past. Yudhyasva Vigatas Vyaraha. Fight without any fear, without any difficulty, without any problem. Vigata Jvara. Yudhyasva. So, like that, here it says, then only it is possible. Tadagandasi nirvedam shrotavyasya sutasya cha. So, whatever, if you develop that kind of, you are free from that moha, that terrible attachment, bondage, which we, relate to all our actions, whatever we do, whatever we perform. If your buddhi, using the power of your, that superior understanding, that yoga bhukti, yoga yukta bhukti, that buddhi which has that higher dimension, the buddhi that has you have developed due to tremendous sadhana, practice, etc. With that buddhi, if you can get rid of this moha, then only it is possible for you to, this tada gantasi nirvedam shrotavyascha sutasya. What has been already, you will develop a indifference to everything. So what is that? This is exactly the vairagya that is talked about. Unless there is this vairagya, unless you develop this indifference to the world, indifference to all the experiences, indifference to wealth, power, position, money, body, mind, everything, all that we possess, unless there is some kind of an indifference that is developed, then it is not possible to go to that stage where you are janma bandha vinirmukta. So, how this indifference will happen? The starting point is moha kalilam buddhi vyatitarishati. So, you get at this evil, this delusion, born of tremendous attachment to the fruits of action, the fruits of whatever we did. Unless you can do that, you cannot do the next stage. Not only that, he also gives a caution. Shrutivi pratipannate yadasthasya nischala samadhavachara buddhi tada yogam avapsasi. This achala bhakti. Here, this vipratipanna shruti. You hear so many things far and again. I bola, hey, acha, I bola, हजार आता रहता है advertisement. So full page is so good. And some opinion, no, it's all bad, it's all fake. Constantly, the conflicting opinions we keep on hearing, including even in the scriptures. Unless you learn how to read the scriptures properly, which is the portion you should concentrate, which is the portion you should give up. Unless the discrimination is not there, and then, unless you give up all that and settle in that steady and stasasi nischala, unless you settle in that completely, free from all this, then samahado buddhi tada yogam avapsasi. So, then the then only it is possible for you to attain to that real yoga, where where it is completely steady, unwavering introspection. Then it is possible to get to that real yoga. Otherwise, it will keep on distracting again and again. It will not be able to do this. So unless the unless we are free from the hold of the senses, there cannot be free from the intellectual distractions, etc., etc. Because no, unless there is a tremendous clarity at the level of the buddhi, people get easily misguided, even with regard to spiritual life. अभी कभी यहाँ जाते हैं, कभी दूसरा, कभी तीसरा, कभी चौथा. Then in physics they say the rolling stone carries no mass. So like that, no, you accumulate nothing. You're only going from place to place. Kabhi idhar, kabhi udhar. So that steadfastness and all that. So no, mere this will not be is not enough. So to attain the state of real yoga, one has to be unwavering introspection is necessary. As always achana buddhi. Then unless you develop that, it's not possible. The unless the will is completely established like that in the achala buddhi, then the true samadhi, the true yoga, the highest state of yoga is not possible. So initially he said that you should give up the fruits of actions, you should be careful while choosing, you have to be how you have to function, etc. They are directly at the level of the senses. Then thousand times, even without involving yourself in the senses, still you can be a most deluded person, because in the mind you are constantly thinking of thousand different things. You are more terribly attached to the mind. So unless the mind also is completely established, it understands, it has discriminated what is to be heard, what is not to be heard. Only in that such a state of discrimination, it's possible for the mind to attain a true state of yoga. See, now Arjuna has been really prepared the background for what is to be done, how he is to fight, what exactly. Arjuna was not even in a mood to listen to start with. He said, I will throw everything. I don't want to fight. And slowly, 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 yes, is bringing him around. Now he is asking, तो आप तो इतना सब बता रहे हैं, आप बताइए ना, how do we really understand who is a person of yoga, who is established? Anybody can, आप आग बंद करके बैठे हुए सब तो देखने योगी लगता है. Their yogis are fake. How do we know what is the real indication? How do they talk? How do they walk? What do they perform? Everything. So that then he asked the next question. Sita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava sitadhi kim prabhasheta kimasita vrajeta him. What is the nature of such a person? You say that a person of study wisdom. What is the bhasha? What is the description? Who has attained to that sense of deep state of introspection and you can say samadhi, samadhi sasya, samadhi introspection, or being completely settled in that uh, uh, total absorption. Such a person, what is the description? Kya bhasha? Ka bhasha? How do you describe such a person? And then Sitadi kim prabhasheta. How does he speak? How does he sit? Kimasita vrajeti kim. How does he walk? How does he want to know in minute details? Of course, there are, again, all these lead to a lot of interpretations also. Some say that Sita Prajnasya and Sitadhi, some make a small distinction. They say Sitadhi means coming down from that. If a person is completely in a state of samadhi, he is there. He does not act at all. He has no action. He is completely free from any karma. So, supposing he comes down slightly, a little, one step, then only, because as long as you are in this world, as long as you have body, you have to function. You may be a Brahmagyani, but a Brahmagyani, does he never take any food? Does he never sleep? Does he never take bath? Is he completely, he may be irregular. He may take now this time, that time. Yes, no, he is not bound by time, place, or causation or anything. anytime, anywhere he may do. But still, to maintain the body, even when Sri Ramakrishna was completely immersed in Nirvikalpa Samadhi for months, when Sadhu came and used to beat him with a small stick, bring some body consciousness into him, and feed a few morsels of food into his mouth. That is why his body was preserved. Because otherwise, the body will drop off. You may be a Brahmagyani, but your body will not be there. The same stage they say with Ramana Maharshi, also in the Patala Guha, deeply absorbed in meditation in Samadhi for years, like that kind of intensity. One lady, it seems, used to come and once in a way feed him something. Otherwise, his body also would have vanished. So the body demands it. It's purely physical and it has its own this thing. So some say that this Sitadhi means coming down slightly from that state of prajna, and then how does he function? How does he talk? How does he? Because if you're in samadhi, there's no question of talking. There's no question of you're moving. There's no question of any action. Anyway, the idea is what does how do how does such a person function? What happens in his life? What is he really? What all he does? Because no, Arjuna is now keenly interested. You say that why? Because initially Sri Krishna extolled him about the nature of Atman. Nainam chindanti sastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, etc. etc. Nitya sarvagata sthanuhu achiloyam sanatana vasamsi jirnani etavihaya. All that he was saying initially. So there, it was all wonderful, only about the description of the Atman as the highest truth. And then, later on, now he says, Samatvam yoga uchyate, supe, ubaya sukata diskrite, all that he be established in yoga and you work. So now he's saying, first he said, it's all so nice, only about the description of Atman, one can be in Samadhi and no need for doing anything. But then he says, no, you have to work. You have to work, forget about the past, not any aspire for the future, be in the present and work. How to work? You should not be bothered. Labha, labho, jaya, jayo, ube, sukrute, diskrute. And then nothing should affect you, whether it's good or bad. You should constantly work. You are saying, please tell me, it's bewildering. How does a person, if you say that I should have that buddhi yukta, that is the way I should function. I should be deeply, always established in that state of samatva. Samatvam yoga uchyate. Yoga karmas kaushalam. Dexterity in work is yoga. You say that be established in the stage and work, but I don't see any way out. How it is possible? That's why he's asking, how does he? Sitadi kim prabhasheta, kimasita vrajeta kim. How does he talk? How does he sit? How does he move? You tell me, so that I can also become a Sita Prajna and yet take the bow and arrow and fight. So I want to be both. Then Sri Krishna then slowly tells him what the Sita Prajna Lakshanas. He says, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmannevatmana tushtaha Sita Prajnastadochate. When he is extolling the highest idea of being established, he says, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogata. Prajahati abandons all the desires. Sarvan kaman, manogatan sarvan kaman. Whatever desires arising in the mind, completely desires of the heart have been totally abandoned. And then what will happen to such a person or such a soul? Atmannevatmana tushtaha sthita prajna sajyotate. He finds joy, satisfaction in the self only. Such a person is spoken of as someone with steady wisdom. What is the Bhasha is asking, no? How do you describe? This is how he described. So he has given up all the manogatan kaman sarvan prajahati. Yes, completely abandoned. You see, the root, where do all the desires arise? They arise in the mind. All the desires, the actions through the senses take place later. Of course, then prior to that, the sense organs go and they bring the sense information into the mind, and then through that, the mind. So, in various ways, it's all happening. So, in that case, ultimately the result is whatever be the source, your senses through the using the mind itself, they went and gathered. What is the see the fun? The mind itself is opening the window for the senses. Supposing if the mind is closed, the senses don't function at all. Supposing I am sitting here, I am deeply absorbed in something. You are coming and standing in front of me. I don't see you. The mind has not opened the window for the eye to go and get into contact with the sense object. So the mind itself opened the window. Through that, the senses go. They gather all the information, come back, and then mere paas aate. Kya baat hai? Huh? The same thing comes back and haunts me as desire, which I am unable to get rid of, for which I am suffering all my life, for which I have to take again and again births and deaths. See the cycle. How this cycle is to be broken somewhere. So now here he is saying, whatever you might have gathered, all the desires in the mind have to be completely abandoned. आया 10 साल पहले वहां जाके इतना सुंदर आइसक्रीम गुप्ता जी ने खिलाया, नहीं, forget it, no need. Manogatan was all the kaman prajahati, if you can give up everything. So it's possible. So that is there are different schools. So in the yoga they say pratyahara, and this pratyahara is done through pranayama. Pratyahara is withdrawal of the senses. Because how to further, if you go deeper, how do you really stop it? First of all, you must stop the indriyas from going and approaching the sense objects. That's the first. If the indriyas are completely made powerless, आपकी मान लीजिए आपके सामने 1000 चीज फैला है, 1000 items are before you, but you just even don't look at them. Even if you look at them, they produce no reaction in your mind because the senses have been completely withdrawn. Vidasam karadecham kurmongani ve. It will come. Indriyartha indriyartebhya tasya prajna pratisthita. So it will come. Just like the kurma. It will come after a couple of slokas later. So can you really do that? So that the indriyas don't go out at all. That control they establish through what is called, this state is called pratyahara, but the way they do is through pranayama. Pranayama is a very powerful technique. So for those who are in the path of jnana, through discrimination, constantly knowing that what it will lead to, what am I going to get, how is it going to help me, by constantly doing that, through that they get the idea this is what it is, and then they don't indulge. But in the case of those who are devotees of the Lord, the very, very devotion, their intense longing and love for God takes them away from everything else. Supposing I like Gita class more than some party, then I will come for Gita class and not go for party. If I like party more, I will go there and not come for Gita class. So whatever you do, so in the case of a devotee, the devotee is so devoted to the Lord. The Lord is so alluring, so attracting. Matchitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti charamanti cha. So like that, if you are a true devotee to the Lord, that is the only thing that will please you. Talking about God, talking about Him, His glory, His this thing. I refer to them quite often. One couple, very elderly in Chennai. Whenever you talk, Maharaj, this is what Holy Mother says. This is what Hari Maharaj says. This is what I hear from Raja Maharaj. This is what you discussed in the last class. I have forgotten what I have discussed. But they remember, Maharaj, this is what you said. So, that what the mind is completely settled. See, the mind is like a supercomputer. It won't be free. Somewhere or other, it will always be engaged. But if you can engage it that way, it's completely engaged in thinking about the Lord, thinking about all that, and it is saturated. It's not a forced, compulsorily done something. It's done something spontaneously because you love it, because you like it, because you are so fond of it. So you are ready to do it, ready to give everything. There are people who come what may, आना ही है आश्रम, बैठना ही है, मंदिर में जाना है, आरती इतनी अच्छी लगती है. So, if you start loving all that, then only it is possible. Sarvan Partha Manogata. So, it is not possible, is it not? Otherwise, Sarvan Kaman, how do you give up all the kamas? If the mind is full of desires, full of so many things, fulfilled, unfulfilled, whatever is left, whatever missed out in life, constantly you are thinking about that. Then obviously, it's not Sarvan Partha Manogatan. It's not possible. Manogatan will not happen. It will all only roam about in your mind. So that's why I say, that's why all these are all not standalone procedures. They all come together. You need viveka, you need vairagya, you need vichara, you need devotion, you need yoga, you need everything. So that you attack it from all sides. That's why Sri Ramakrishna has given a very beautiful this thing for us. Yoga Samanmaya. You are not one-sided. No, I don't like Atman, I'm only Bhakta. No. I like Atman also, I like Ramakrishna also, I like Krishna also, I like Durga also. So I will think about the Atman, I will think about Durga, so that the mind is, it is engaged in only such thoughts, such perceptions, such ideas, nothing else in my mind. So otherwise, if you become one-sided, it's even more difficult to do only one thing all the time. Supposing, you may like dosa, but every day if you are given only dosa, after the third day, आपका तो देखने में उल्टी आ जाएगी. अरे बाबा कितना डोसा है, दूसरा कुछ खिलाओ ना. So, but you say, and dosa, one day idli, one day pongal, one day parota, one day something. So like that, Thakur devotees have choice. They can go to jnana, they can go to bhakti, they can go to yoga. But Thakur says, but there should also be some firmness, ishtanishta also. Otherwise, simply roaming about, you will not gather anything. So, if you do all that, if you empty the mind of all the desires, then such a mind, where it will find rest, it will not remain idle. It has to find a rest, it has to find a place. Then by that time, it will have been completely Atmanyeva Atmana Tushtaha. Such a mind which is completely Atmani eva, only in the Atman. That is his joyous satisfaction. And it is not depending on any external idea. Then there is first steady base. See, the point is, actually, many of us also in a small way would have experienced. Suppose you are in a very nice thing. The best thing we like is to be alone. You are wonderful. You are just in your own mood. You are deeply absorbed. You are so happy being oneself. So this is, coming from that deep self, that is Atman. It's a very minuscule, maybe a micro version of that. But it is coming from that. If you find happiness in being alone, that means slowly you are trying to link to that Atman. Because Atman means being established, being happy in the Atman means nothing else. Totally no external agency is required. Nothing outside you is required. You don't need anything. You don't need any physically, not only not even mentally, neither by the mind nor with your senses, just by yourself, deeply absorbed. So then, obviously such a person, you will have no use for anything external, nor will desire generate in the mind. There is no such interaction. Whatever is done is just for the sake of living, just for the maintenance of the body, nothing else. So that is very extraordinary. Is it possible for someone like Arjuna to do it? That's why Sri Krishna is saying, you try to go to that state of buddhi, whereby you try for that yoga, where you can do all this with that supreme sense of deep sense of settled mind, where you don't seek anything external. So he has clearly said, the very first sloka is very powerful, where he says should be completely free from desire. The mind should be totally free from desires. Even a small desire. Sri Ramakrishna, once he felt that I should, use nice, very costly shawl I should put on and smoke hubble bubble from a silver hookah. But the moment he said, immediately everything is arranged for him. He had such a Rasadhar, Mathur Babu. You don't have, you have to search here and there. Immediately everything was brought. 1,000 rupees or thousands of rupees worth shawl those days. Today it must be worth lakhs. And so Thakur put on for once, and then with that he was smoking that hubble bubble. Bus immediately abandoned once and for all. See, that is the power of the mind. He started trampling on that shawl. जल्दी आके उठा लिया मंत्री बाबू और किसी को बोल के ले लिया क्योंकि such a costly shawl. He was spitting on that and trampling to become useless. So, see, the point is, once and for all, gone from the mind. Once and for all. For us, if you enjoy something, it creates 100 new vasanas, 100 variations of the same thing. Wanting to. See, that is why, if the mind is really like that, if your buddhi is really awakened, if you have that, it understands, it experiences in no time, and then it gets rid of it once and for all. Normal mind, unless we are really that buddhi yukta, that kind of this thing is not there. When we indulge something, it creates 1,000 more. So that's why you should not follow Ramakrishna saying that no, I will taste and give. No, if you taste, it will create 1,000 other. For us, the hard route, not struggling hard, not to go near it, not keeping them near, these, that, like that, all kinds of practices, physical, mental, and then slowly. But in his case, his mind was so super sensitive. Just 1 second, once and for all, for life, he never again mentioned the word shawl, maybe all his life. That kind of a mind. For all the others, one has to very deliberately and very assiduously give up the desires, practice hard, and not allowing such things to be near. Why there is so much of restriction in our societies, the way we talk, the way we move, the way we live together, and all that. So that we can't make things everything made easy. No, not that way. The mind is physically maybe something. The mind is full of desires. What is the point? That's of no use. The mind should be emptied of all desires. Prajahat yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmannevatmana tushtaha sitapragyastado. That is the beginning of the Sitapragya Lakshana, where Sri Krishna gives a very powerful dose of medicine. We'll take it forward again. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. We have the Swamiji Siddhi Puja is on the 2nd. So please come, all of you. We'll have Puja, Homa, Prasad. Very special Prasad we'll give you this time. Something our devotees are planning, something very special, not just Kichudi, something very special. So only it will be announced that day you come. And then on the 18th, we have a beautiful retreat, half a day retreat on Advaita Makaranda, the nectar of Advaita. Let us come and discuss Advaita. Thank you.